In this video, we're going to explore toast messages. Now, a toast message is a special way to momentarily display a message on the screen when you're in an Android application. Now, you may have seen those come up before if you've used or used an Android device in the past. It'll pop up, perhaps for half a second or a second, and then automatically disappear. So they're often used within programs to signify a certain event or something happening, but we can also use them for debugging, and they can be quite handy. So let's go and take a look at how we actually go about implementing toast messages for debugging. Okay, so let's go into our Android developer tools, and then the Eclipse subfolder and start Eclipse. And then we're going to just click OK to the default workspace and go into the app or into our project. Now, what I'm going to do first is delete some of the code that was in from our last video, from the video that talked about logcat. So I'm just going to delete that. So if you're following along in sequential order and see this code, just delete what I've deleted on the screen here, the log references, and I'm going to save that. Now, what we can do, we can very simply set up a message instead of sending an output to logcat, and you saw that in the previous video, where there was output going to the console. That was in the logcat video. There's a way to instead pop up a message automatically in the application for a small period of time. And that can be very useful just to confirm that a particular bit of program code has been executed, or things are happening or connected the way they should be. So one way to do that is to go into a method and add a toast message. So what I'm going to do now is go into the onCreate method. So if you're following along, and you haven't already got it open, go into the My First App, click on Source, select the package, and double-click Main Activity. Then we're going into the onCreate method, and I'm going into the line or on the line after the Set Content view. So what I'm going to do is type in toast, because that's the name of the class that does this function for us, and press Control and space. Now you notice very briefly the screen changed. And what happens is if the system automatically knows to do something and there's no conflicts, it will automatically add the line in. So it actually did that for us automatically. In the case of the previous video where we had this log statement, and I might just take that out and put that in again just so you can see what I mean, it will come up and give you an option, or it won't do it automatically. So if we go back to here, so if I type log and press Control space, you can see it can't automatically do it, and that's because there's two references to the word log. And it's only if I select one and press enter, you can see that it's added that at the top. So again, it's quite a neat feature of Eclipse where it does that sort of stuff for you automatically. But in the case of toast, it automatically added that line for us because there really is only one reference to the word toast. And I'm going to close it off again. So anyway, we'll continue our setup here. We're going to type toast, and we'll put toast message equals toast dot make text. Now there's two versions here, but we're only going to be dealing with the first one. The first one's really more used for sort of system messages, really for debugging purposes. That's what they're really ideal for. Context, very simply, is this. And that essentially means this class that's being executed now. Next, we want to put in the message, type in the message that we want to pop up on the screen. What about to put something like My First App has successfully loaded. Okay, next thing, tabbing over duration. Oh, actually, one thing I want to do now before we continue, remember we talked about double clicking on logcat. Same thing applies to Java. So if you're editing and spending a bit of time editing code, double click your Java file. And now you can see it's much easier to see what you're doing on the screen, and you haven't got all those other distracting options. And again, double click to go back to where you were, and double click again to go back in. So duration, we're going to use the toast default settings. So we can type in toast dot length long. So I'm going to select length long, which is using the standard long period of time as defined by toast. Now you can override these if you wish, but we're just going to use the defaults, like so, and end that line. So what we've done now is we've created the message and it's ready to go, but we haven't actually showed the message. So the next thing to do is to actually show the message on the screen, to tell the system, okay, I want you to show this message on the screen. And to do that, we'll just type in toast message dot show. Okay. Oh, actually, while I'm here too, I'll delete this reference. That's also from the previous video. Okay, so I'm going to save that. And let's go back and run this and see what happens. We'll select our virtual device. Okay. And there we go. You saw that message appear down the bottom. Sits there for a while, then disappears. Again, we'll just do it again. Click on back. Just okay that. Select the app. Click My First App. And you can see that little message that's come up. That's a pretty cool little way of debugging an application, where you want to sort of check that a specific bit of code has been executed. So how about we change this code now and perhaps get it not to only pop up when the application started, but what about when we go into here and click settings? Maybe we can get it to come up with a custom message at that point. And that would be a common use of debugging. You check an area of the code or a particular button, and you want to make sure that you've sort of hooked up things correctly so that the code is working as it should be. So I'm going to go back and do that. I'm going to click back and close that and go back to the code. So what we have is a method automatically added by Eclipse to this same file, which is executed whenever an item is selected. And you can see, looking at this code here, actually starting at the start, the first line there is looking at the menu option that was selected. And of course, in this particular menu, getting back to the application again, the menu option, there is only one menu option, which is settings. But nevertheless, we may have more than one. But the code there is retrieving that ID. Then it's sort of checking here. If the ID is the action settings button, then return true. So what we're going to do is, before that line, we're going to add another line and add another toast statement. So we're going to add toast. And we'll just put a little abbreviation this time. Message equals toast dot make text. This again. And the text can be... we'll put settings button pressed. Duration, we'll go toast dot length long again. You're going to have to get in the habit of doing that as well. Okay. The message dot show. Save that. So again, what we're doing is, unlike the previous setup, which executed only once when the application was created, what we've done is we've embedded the code here to show this toast message anytime the settings button is actually clicked, or tapped, I should say. So let's go and try executing that and see what happens. So I'm going to run that, select it, select the Android virtual device, click OK, tab over, wait for our application to start. You can see we've got this first message OK. But now if I click on settings, click on the settings button pressed, as you can see. Wait till it disappears, and of course we can do it again. So there you go. That's a useful way for for using Toast for debugging purposes. Anytime you've got an issue or you want to check whether a particular event has been set up correctly, in other words, that you've connected the code that talks to the, when the settings button is tapped, the right code is being executed. That's a quick way to make sure that you've done all the right things. And of course, in future videos, we're going to be going through more on how to make those connections. This is just sort of showing you a way to actually confirm that those connections are correct. Okay, well, that ends this section on debugging. Let's move on to the next video.